Hey guys, it's Nick. I'm here in Vienna, Austria, and I just took a tour at the Schönbrunn Palace where the royalty of Austria lived. Now, what does this have to do with finance? A lot, because going through these rooms and seeing how they lived, if you think about it, a poor person or a middle class person, even poor people, working class, live a lot better than they did back in their huge palace. Why is that? Of course, things like indoor plumbing. They didn't get a toilet, which was basically like a bench with a hole in it, till 1899. They didn't get electricity until 1901. To heat this palace, they had these big ceramic-like stoves that was fed from coal and wood and later on steam in the corner of each room. It was probably still pretty cold, and walking through there now in August, it is actually pretty hot because, of course, it didn't have any air conditioning, no refrigerators, so food spoilage, all that kind of worries. And if you look at the other museum for their horse-drawn carts or whatever, which I'm not going to, they look pretty primitive, even though everything is gilded or whatever. It's basically a wooden cart pulled by a horse. No cars, no electricity, no cell phones, no TV, no internet, none of that. But what I think is interesting is if you gave the royalty that lived there the option to move into 2023 and give them all the good things that we have right now that we kind of take for granted, and also move some of their workers there, the chef, the gardener, or whatever, that were kind of working class people, bring them into the future and give all of them like a very middle class or working class kind of lifestyle. So if you gave both the king and his chef and his gardener and other workers a 10-year-old Honda Accord, so a 2013 Honda Accord, a 10-year-old 32-inch LCD TV, along with some small studio, one-bedroom apartment with just a regular old air conditioner, a regular stove and refrigerator, nothing fancy or stainless steel. You give them a 10-year-old iPhone, which is probably like an iPhone 5, and give them a 10-year-old computer with 10-year-old internet speed, so maybe like 3 megabits per second or something like that. For a while, they'll think that this is so amazing, like they're in the Jetsons or something like that, right? They'll think that, you know, this is alien technology or something along those lines, right? They'll be loving it. They got a refrigerator, they got a supermarket down the street and all that, and they'll think they're so lucky. But what will happen after a while is, the first thing that will happen is the kings or whatever, the emperors, the kings, they will look at their workers, the chef, drive by with the same car they have. And they're going to get pretty pissed off. And they're going to see that they have the same TV and the same 10-year-old cell phone and all of that. And they're not going to like it that they have the same level of stuff as the people that were, or they seem to be in their mind, way below them back, 150 years ago or whatever. So the king is going to want some newer stuff. And even the working class people, they're going to be driving their 10-year-old Honda and see these brand new Hondas on the street, or even, maybe a BMW or something, and say, wow, that looks pretty good compared to my crappy old 10-year Honda or my 40-inch TV screen that I see that they have 70-inch screens. They're going to say, I want one of those 70-inch TV screens. So it all comes down to envy, because even though you have this amazing thing, all these technological stuff, if somebody has something better than you, all of a sudden you want that. So the king is going to be like, okay, I can't be living like my chef and my gardener. First of all, I need a brand new Honda. And then he gets it, and then he's going to be looking around and say, wait a minute, There's these things called BMWs, Mercedes, Rolls-Royce. You know, what's the best car I can get? And that's the one that I deserve because I'm the king. And even the workers are also going to be thinking to trade up just because they see their neighbors have a nicer car or a newer car or a nicer iPhone or faster internet speed or something like that. So it's not just the king that feels like he needs to have better stuff or at least as good as his peers. It's also the poor people, the middle class, the upper class, whatever. Everybody is always looking to see what everybody else has, and they are usually envious. And so if you have the money, you can buy the nicer things. But the case is, most people don't, and they put themselves in debt just to try to look like they're keeping up with somebody who they think has it better than them, even though those people most likely are in debt up to their eyeballs and can't pay their bills and have a whole lot of debt. So if you're the king of Austria and you get transported to 2023 with all your wealth, then yeah, you should probably have the Rolls-Royce limousine or whatever and all the high-end stuff, because to buy that is a pittance to you. It doesn't mean anything. But to the chef or the gardener that gets transported to 2023, should they be trying to buy a Rolls-Royce or something? No, I mean, unless you up your income by a whole bunch. So basically what I'm saying is stay in your lane. If you could afford a Rolls-Royce like it's nothing, go ahead. But if you are stretching and putting your car payments on your credit card just to get a C-Class Mercedes so you could tell people you have a Mercedes or something like that, and you have all kinds of debt and credit card debt and you don't make a lot of money, you're just digging a bigger hole for yourself. You know, at the end of the day, most people with a typical, say, American or European job could afford an apartment, air conditioning, a newer phone, internet, refrigerator, probably a car or a scooter or a motorcycle, something along those lines. It's only when you start to try to show that you're wealthier than everybody else and start going into luxuries when you have a problem. So nobody's going to be on their deathbed saying, yeah, I had a $20,000 Rolex, but my life wasn't complete because I didn't have the diamond encrusted bezel on that Rolex. Or, you know, I had a Lamborghini, but I didn't get the gold plating on it or something along those lines. And speaking of gold plating, going through this tour here, you see the walls have all this gold paint on them and all this stuff, but everything they had was pretty much just basic, but a nicer version of it, right? So they got cups, they got plates, but they're gold this and crystal that and all this stuff. But even basic stuff like an air conditioner or a refrigerator, no amount of money could buy that back then because it doesn't exist. So I guess the takeaway here is most people have the basic necessities of life. It's only when they watch ads or see their friends or their Instagram photos of people showing off of handbags or clothes or vacations or cars that people stretch themselves using credit or spending money on something that they shouldn't, instead of maybe investing for a down payment on a house or getting another degree to get a better job or something like that, or starting a company. A lot of people would rather waste it on just trying to look like they have more than they really do. And like they say, the more things you own, the more they own you. And walking around this palace is like the ultimate expression of that, because it is kind of run down. Right, so if you look at the shutters, right, they're all fading and chipped away and all that kind of stuff. You look at the concrete, it has all this molding and stuff like that on it. The garden looks okay. I mean, they do a better job with their hedges than I do, but it looks like, obviously it's seen better days. But just imagine trying to fix that mold on that concrete or whatever back then when they didn't have power washers or they didn't have sanders to sand down these wooden windows and repaint them or something like that. Imagine the king saying, hey, I see one of these windows is kind of cracked and stuff. We need somebody to replace it. And the maintenance guy's like, yeah, we need all the windows replaced, all 846 of them or whatever amount of windows they have. You know, that the upkeep on this place is huge. So be careful what you wish for. I mean, that goes with anything. People have big houses that they have more space than they really need, and then they have to upkeep it. Air conditioning, bigger roof, more insurance, landscaping, all that stuff. So guys, if you're ever feeling jealous or envious because of your neighbor, your friend, some stranger on Instagram or whatever, think about the things that you think you are lacking in your life. And I guarantee it's not that you don't have it, you just want some better version of it that you think you need, right? Whether that is a watch, a phone, a TV, a car, an apartment, a house, a bigger house, a redone kitchen, a redone bathroom, any of that stuff. You have all that stuff. You just want a better version of it, or a more expensive version of it, or the newer version of it. And that's fine to buy if you have the money and you don't have to go into debt to buy it, then go ahead. But like I said, it's people that stretch themselves that become even more miserable because they're digging a hole for themselves, paying crazy interest on something that they probably really didn't need in the first place. So guys, I hope you like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.